Good morning, UUMAN. Good morning. I'm Sasha Grainbuhl, a member of this congregation. On behalf of Reverend Dave Dunn, our Director of Religious Exploration, Lexi Tangi Brown, Music Director Alex Peach, and my fellow worship associates, along with the dedicated technical team that is making today's live stream possible, we welcome you to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta Congregation, which we lovingly call UUMAN. We would like to acknowledge the land upon which this congregation is situated, the former home of the Muskogee and Cherokee nations, and those who have gone before them. No matter who you are, who you love, or where you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If there are any of you visiting us for the first time and feel comfortable doing so, please identify yourself so we can worship with one another as friends. Are there any first-time visitors on my left? Any on my right? Welcome. Welcome. Second hour programming will begin this week. Second hour, which runs from 11:15 to 12, concurrent with Children's Religious Exploration, offers the opportunity to further connect with one another. You can sign up for Children and Youth Religious Exploration using the QR code on the bulletin board in Fellowship Hall. Also, if you're visiting us for the first time, feel free to scan the QR code on the back of your printed order of worship or the code located near the greeters table. Though there will be different programming each week, this week we'll offer Sunday service reflection, and Reverend Dave Dunn will be kicking off a new class titled The Prophetic Imperative. Both classes are downstairs in Fellowship Hall, right over there. Drop-in attendees are welcome. In June, the UU General Assembly passed an action of immediate witness, stating, "Therefore be it resolved that as Unitarian Universalists, we recognize the momentum of collective action to demand social change, and we call upon the UUA and its member congregations to stop Cop City." The Atlanta City Council has already approved this project, yet if 70,000 signatures can be collected by the end of September, a referendum can be put on the ballot in November so that people can decide for themselves. Reverend Dave Dunn will be canvassing every Saturday through the end of September. We'll be carpooling from UUMAN to the Canvas Center at 10 a.m. Sign up in Breeze using the link in the UUMAN calendar or contact Reverend Dave Dunn directly. And now let us greet one another in a hand of friendship.
Good morning. This morning's call to worship is by the Reverend Sharon Wiley. May our time together this morning be a comfort and a bit of confrontation. May we find here peace in times of tumult and May we here invite a bit of tumult into lives of peace. May we find calm in times of restlessness, and yet, may we here allow a bit of restlessness to evolve into action. Let this be a place where you consider what you've never considered. Let this be a place where you imagine for yourself something new and unthinkable. May this hour bring dreams and new ways of being in the world. And now let us light our chalice together.
We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever, the only answer to everything and every moment, everyone in every moment. Please rise in body or in spirit for the singing of hymn number 1006 in the Teal Soft Book.
Can't read that far. Once upon a time, there was a town in the mountains, a pristine mountain town. And they had a pristine river flowing by the town. It was a town of animals. Only animals lived there. But they were advanced. They had running water. But this river was so clean that they didn't have to really clean the water when it came in. They just piped it right into the houses. But one day, Mr. Owl was looking at the river, looking around, seeing everything, and all of a sudden, upstream, he saw a bag of leaky trash floating down the river. It was oozing some kind of sludge. Worried that it might contaminate the water supply for the town, he issued a call. I don't know if you can hear that. A little call. And all of a sudden, all kinds of animals came to the river's edge to see what was wrong. And sure enough, they saw the bag of leaky trash, and somebody went out there and got that trash. Thank goodness. Then, a few minutes later, the owl looks upstream. Another leaky bag of trash. Actually, about 3 of them. Issued another call, and the animals went out and got all 3 leaky bags of trash and removed them from the river. Thank goodness. Then, all of a sudden, they saw a dozen bags of leaky trash coming downstream. Issued another call, the animals go out and get all the bags of trash. Thank you. They saved the river again. But sure enough, as was expected now, 3 dozen bags of leaky trash were coming down the river. And pretty soon the whole town was trying to save all these bags get them from the river. But then we have another character. Lummy the eagle said, Lummy is from the Lummi Nation, the native peoples of Western Washington. And Lummy said to Owl, maybe we should take a trip upstream to see how all these bags of trash are coming down here. And the Owl said, are you kidding me? Go upstream. We need everybody here right now to get the bags of trash out of the river. Lummy, I always have to teach you things, said the Owl. But Lummy knew what to do. So she got up and she flew through the air. Hold on. Eagles don't fly with their beaks. They just fly. They just fly with their wings. Okay. So Lummy flew upstream to see what was going on, and sure enough, she saw the very evil Sasha the Coyote, the trickster. And not only were they putting bags into the river, but there were a whole other loads of bags of trash that Coyote had planned to put into the river. Well, Lummy the eagle knew what to do. She swooped down and she grabbed the coyote, Sasha the evil coyote, and dropped her into the river. And she began floating down the stream. And when all the animals saw the coyote in the river, they chased her off, and she was never to be seen again. Yay! The evil coyote was putting that trash into the river. Boo! Boo! Don't take it personally. So Lummy flew back down into the town, and the owl said, Lummy, where have you been? You missed all the excitement. We cleaned up the entire river ourselves. We saved the river. And we happened to run off a coyote that was around as well. But meanwhile, all the animals knew that Lummy was the one that went up and solved the problem. And they were all staring quizzically at the snowy white owl. And the owl just said, what? And that's it. Good to see you. Everything okay? Over the last 2 years, I've acted as a volunteer driver for a student who attends Freedom University here in Atlanta. Randy Blosh has also been a 2-year volunteer driver as well. This morning, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you Gabriela Solis. She is the student coordinator at Freedom University. She herself is a 2018 graduate of the school. She also works with other immigrant rights groups locally and serves on the board of the New Sanctuary Movement of Atlanta, and I serve on that board as well. Freedom University is led by the executive director, Dr. Emiko Soltis, who's spoken here before. Dr. Soltis and Gabriela are simply doing amazing work. They are getting undocumented young people on a path for success, preparing them for and helping them get into universities like Dartmouth, Emory, Oglethorpe, other universities across the country. The young woman I drove last semester will be starting at Oglethorpe this month, and I am so proud of her, of the work she's done. For her to apply to college, being from Nicaragua and going to high school in Nicaragua, it's like a mountain to traverse to get that, and you guys help with that. It's amazing work. So I am very proud, again, to introduce to you the student coordinator at Freedom University and my friend, Gabriela Solis.
Good. Is it still morning? Yes. So good morning, everyone. I apologize for being late. I come from Snellville area, so I wasn't expecting traffic or accidents on a Sunday morning, but you know, it is what it is. Thank you, Dave, for the introduction, and I'm so happy to be in this community. I think we have been here before. It's been a while, you know. I also have COVID brain, but I am happy to be here. My name is Gabriela Solis. I am the student coordinator at Freedom University, a school for undocumented students here in Georgia and probably in the country. The reason that we exist is because I'm not sure if many of you know that undocumented students are banned from the top universities here in Georgia, and they don't qualify for in-state tuition, even if they have been here most of their young life, like myself. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story, then I can introduce what Freedom U does. I grew up in Mexico, Tijuana, Baja California. My parents brought me, well, my father came here first. He is a construction worker and still is, building Atlanta homes since 1994. And he's still doing the same thing. Then my mother came, and then we came as well. I have been here since I was 5. I went K through 12, public schools. It was not the easiest once I arrived to like high school and it was time to apply to college. You know, I'm the first in my family, first generation. I'm the oldest of 4. So I took on a lot of challenges, like working since I was 14, you know, especially during the recession time. I'm not sure if many of you remember. A lot of people lost their jobs, including my father, and then I had to get to work. So I decided to drop out of school in 11th grade and to continue working. But then DACA, I'm not sure if are you familiar with DACA? Deferred action to protect children, you know, adults like myself. Many people still think that DACA is still for young folks, but honestly, we need to get that out the door because DACA is probably old. I'm 31 now, so when we talk about DACA, we're not protecting anybody, especially the students who are graduating high schools right now. So those students need to be protected because, like I said, DACA is pretty old now. But with that said, I eventually went back to school. Yay! And I graduated high school at the age of 21. I was a little older, but I did it. So in my search for like something else that I knew that higher education was there, but I didn't know how to like get it or anything. So when I was in high school, I decided to ask my counselor, like, hey, I know my GPA is not the best, but why shouldn't I not be able to go to, you know, college, right? And the first thing she said was like, do you have Social Security? I was like, no. And she's like, well, unfortunately, I can help you. I was like, okay, that says everything. And that's when I dropped out. But like I said, eventually DACA came out. I went back, I graduated, and I was in search of higher education. And that's where I found Freedom University. I honestly was like, I cannot believe this school exists. I think it existed since 2010, but I didn't find out until 2013 or like a little later. And I was like, I need to figure out how I can go to college. Especially financially, I couldn't. So I was looking for financial assistance. I know I don't qualify for FAFSA. Undocumented students do not qualify for FAFSA. So Freedom University came around, and I was like, I need to apply to this school because I think I need to go to college to benefit my family, of course, and my future. So I eventually got connected with them, and I applied. I was super nervous, 11:59. I was like, I should apply, and I was like, send. And it has been the best experience ever. I started off as a student, like I said, looking for opportunities. Unfortunately, with the struggles that I went through in high school, it was a little difficult, but not impossible. I still have hopes that once these bans are lifted, I will get to college. But for now, I decided to take in the role of student coordinator, mainly because the person who was before me, Arisbeth Sanchez, got a full ride to Agnes Scott. So she is now at Agnes Scott doing her thing, and right now I'm taking over her role. But yes, but like David said, he has been a long-time supporter for the university. Without them, without him, honestly, it just makes it harder, especially because undocumented students do not have a license, and many of their parents do not have a license. We can go in detail about that, but they do not, and unfortunately, we support them by picking them up from their houses, dropping them off back at their at the school, and then dropping them back off. Like it's a whole process. But thank you to Dave and all the volunteers who volunteer, make it possible for the students to not even worry about how am I going to go to school on a Sunday or how am I going to go to school on a Saturday. But that's a little bit about how I got to Freedom University. But what I'm doing here is trying to get the word out, trying to let y'all know that we need you all. We need volunteers, especially if you have free Saturdays, especially on Saturdays it's in person. Sundays is online, especially after COVID. We decided to do a hybrid, especially because it just gets too complicated to do 2 in-person days and have like a lot of drivers and a lot of students getting picked up. So we decided to do the hybrid model. And on Saturdays, the time commitment is from, let's say, right now the semester is going to be from September 17 to December 17, which is our fall semester, which is very important because, as we know, that's when colleges are accepting applications and all that fun stuff. So that's where the students focus more on human right to education, and on that class, they also have the college preparation class that Dr. Sotis teaches. And then we have the academic writing, because as many of you know, college is all about reading and writing. So we need to get these students ready. Many of them went through difficulties in high school just like I did. So we support them with the writing, with writing tutors, personal writing tutors from Agnes Scott and Emory. We have fought a lot to get undocumented students in Emory, which they now accept undocumented students and DACA students, just like Agnes Scott. As many of you know, private universities kind of tend to be more flexible with that. Public universities, no. So that's why we partner with a lot of private institutions, because they can make their own policies and all that. But the time commitment for Saturday is, this semester will be from 1 to 5, but we kind of say all day. Depending on activities that we have sometimes, we kind of say all day. But like I said, it's mainly Saturdays, and sometimes we go on college tours, or events that we have, and, we just really, really need your support. So if you have free Saturdays, or, you're really want to volunteer somewhere, please apply on the website at www.freedom-university.org/volunteer, and you will have all the information you need on the website and how you can support undocumented students here in Georgia. But that's it for me, y'all. I am so happy to be here, and I hope to see your faces and names for volunteers, okay? Thank you.
At this point in our service, we share our joys with each other to magnify them, and our sorrows to divide the weight of their pain. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble in the bowl, and express a joy or sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via our live stream, if you have a joy or sorrow that you would like to share this morning, please type it in the chat. Is it not working?
Okay. Yes, I'm excited that yesterday I got my new Rubik's Cube.
Yay.
Hello, Amanda Brawley here, and Reese Brawley, and it's her 5th birthday.
Hi, I'm Ann Bender. I'm dropping a pebble for Mary Beth Stevens, a pebble of concern and gratitude, or not gratitude necessarily, but whatever. On Friday, she had a small electrical fire in her house, and it was very unusual that she was home. And she's grateful that she was, because she's sure that her house would have burned to the ground. So obviously there's great concern about the house, but so far everything is okay. And so that's for Mary Beth.
So we've got some difficult news to share with you all this morning. I've been diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. I had a biopsy this last week, and we'll know what the details are by the end of this next week and what the course of action is going to be. But we're confident that we're going to get through this together and with you, our church family.
And I want to thank those that, that I've spoken to, and just the outpouring of love is just, it's amazing. This is just an incredible congregation, and, I'm grateful that we are here and that y'all are with us. And as we go through this, we are both positive. We're not giving it any energy at this point because we just don't have the details until next week. But, as so many of you have gone through cancer diagnoses, we're just next in the line to kick its ass. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gus. We are one world now, and a pebble of concern for brothers and sisters in Hawaii today.
I'm Gary, a member here. It's going to be hard to get through, but I'm thankful that a number of people here have been very helpful over the past year. As my wife and I have been separated, a lot of people here have been very helpful to me. Thank you. So this past week, my wife and I signed our papers to go ahead, and we went through mediation. It was actually very cordial. At the end of the mediation session, usually it takes a couple days. For us, it took only a matter of hours. At the end of the session, the young woman lawyer who was sitting there heard me saying to Rosa, "Okay, where are we going to lunch now?" And she said, "I've never seen that, a couple getting divorced that decide to go to lunch together afterward." And so that tells you that we're being very kind to each other. But it's been tough. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex Peach, and I'm going to drop a pebble. In fact, I'm going to drop a couple of pebbles because this Wednesday, it's going to be a party, and y'all are invited to come and sing. It's going to be get to know the choir and find out what we do. And if you ever want a safe space to get your voice, here it is. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, here. Thank you.
And now I'll drop one final pebble for all of those joys and sorrows still too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. Let us keep one another in our thoughts during the coming weeks. When you entered this morning, you were given an index card and some sort of writing instrument. If you don't have those, me or the ushers will give you some. If you need an index card, please raise your hand. Okay. Now think for a moment. Think about something that causes you to lament, something that might keep you up at night, something that causes you to fret for the future, your own private lamentation. Do not put your name on it. When you are done, fold it up and put it in the basket when the ushers pass them around. Let us begin. Lamentation, so something that might keep you up at night, something that causes you to fret for the future, your own private lamentation.
Yes, if you can pass the cards to the center, that'd be great. And the pencils. Or you could, yeah, pass them. So just pick out some. Thank you, Alex. 393 million. 393 million. That's the number of guns that we have in this country. More than the number of people we have in this country. 1.9 million. 1.9 million is the number of people that we have incarcerated in this country. Taken together, they would be the 5th largest city in the nation, larger than Philadelphia, Phoenix, Detroit, Dallas. For-profit prisons. What sense does that make? Who are their customers? How does one measure return on shareholder value in a for-profit prison? We have migrant children working the graveyard shift overnight in sawmills and in factories. We have 12-year-old children doing roofing in Florida and Tennessee, 12 years old. We have underage children working in slaughterhouses in Delaware, Mississippi, and North Carolina. All of these are in open violation of child labor laws. These are known conditions. They're not being enforced. Climate change, I don't need to tell you, it's already upon us. It's already costing us billions and billions of dollars. We're constructing flood control plans, levees. We're dealing with hurricanes, wildfires, and tropical paradises. It's costing thousands of lives and causing the extinction of countless species. Oklahoma is the first state to approve and publicly fund a religious public school. A taxpayer-funded public school where the students must, quote, live in harmony with faith and morals as taught and understood by the magisterium of the church based upon Holy Scripture. This is a taxpayer-funded public school. We have income inequality, which has gone on for probably since the industrial age in America. Economic marginalization. I don't need to tell you, many states have outlawed a woman's right to choose what she does with her body. And in Alabama and in Arkansas, they are not allowed to choose, even in case of rape or incest. In Missouri, doctors are prohibited from providing gender treatments to people of any age, unless they, among other things, submit to 18 months of psychological treatment, and that no care can be issued until their mental health issues are resolved. Mental health issues? Who is insane here? Guns, police militarization, which I didn't really talk about. It is an issue. Probably heard about that as well. It happens here in Roswell. We had a safety training here in Roswell this year. The officer who came, nice guy. He was wearing camouflage military fatigues. For-profit prisons, guns, exploited domestic and migrant children workers, our economic system, climate change, erosion of our democracy, separation of church and state, the erosion of women's rights, trans, LGBTQ rights. I mean, who's insane here? I talked about this earlier this spring in a sermon that I called, Does Anybody Know What We're Doing? And I say we because we're responsible. The police work for us. Our judges and politicians work for us. Our prisons work for us. And those who sanction for-profit prisons work for us. Is it nothing to you, all who pass by? In the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Lamentations, said to be written by the prophet Jeremiah after the destruction of the temple, first temple in Jerusalem in 586 BC. He wrote the book of Lamentations. And he said, Is it nothing to you, all who pass by? Do we hear the cries of lamentation in our world today? Do we hear the cries? Former UUA President John Behrens writes, when spirituality is only about the inner life and does not involve concern for others, especially the most vulnerable among us, then there is a need to ask if this is truly an authentic form of religious living. Religious living. When I read those two words, it gave me pause. Could I characterize how I live my life as religious living? And on top of that, what characterizes religious living? Is it only the cultivating of an inner spirituality, inner development, unconcerned with the cries of others? Again, this gives me pause. Something I've said in the past, and it's sometimes taken humorously, but this same quote doesn't sound so humorous in this context. The quote is, if you were arrested for being a Unitarian Universalist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Yeah. It can be said that there are 330 million gods and goddesses in the Hindu tradition. And there's a story in that tradition. There's a guy in a boat. He's in the middle of the ocean by himself, and the boat's sinking. And he's crying out to the gods for help. 330 million gods. He dies. He drowns. And then when the gods realize this, they all admit that they all heard the cries, but they thought one of the other gods was going to do it. Yeah. Ironically, We have 393 million guns. We have 330 million people in the United States. Do we hear the cries of lamentation in our world? That Hindu story could be taken somewhat humorously, and I've heard it told as such, but it happens in real life when it's not so humorous. Martin Niemöller, who was a German Lutheran pastor, initially supported Adolf Hitler in his rise to power in the early 30s, but then didn't feel so good. And then he heard the cries of others, and he didn't do anything about it. And he famously wrote, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out, for I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, for I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak for me." He spent 7 years in a concentration camp in Dachau, survived. Just what is the purpose of church? Like, why are we here? When I hear answers to that question, the most popular answer I hear is that people come for a sense of community, and I get that, and we deserve that. We are introverts or extroverts, we are inherently social beings, and we need a sense of community. We want to be seen and heard. We need that. But it can't be just that. We have clubs to get community. You can go to a club and be seen and heard. In addition to having a sense of community, however, people come to a church to get support and healing. They're struggling, and they need support and healing. People should not have to face crisis alone. They deserve to get support and healing in a church, in a congregation. Also, obviously, people need to come to a church, and hopefully they can cultivate some spiritual depth, ethics, learn about ethics and morality. Totally. Hopefully that's what we can help you with. But finally, I maintain, as former UUA President John Buren says, that true, authentic religious living is not content simply to serve the spiritual needs of the gathered community. The church feels called to serve and address the issues of the wider community as well, and that cultivated inner spirituality, morality, and ethics must then be used to challenge the social evils of our day. Now, you may and you're allowed to disagree with my assessment of what church is about. Yet, our mission at this congregation is to nurture the spirit, strive for justice, transform the world. That is our mission. Nurture the spirit, strive for justice, transform the world. And our vision is to be a vital and visible community for all, bravely working towards the day when social, environmental, and economic justice is reality. We came upon that mission and vision a few years ago. We developed it through some hard work, and I am very proud of you, all the work you all did on that. The many lamentations, that I expressed earlier, and maybe the ones that you wrote down today, this morning, reveal an interconnected web of pain, trauma, and dysfunction in this world and where we live. It's an unhealthy, interconnected system. And the system as a whole needs to be considered when we try to address specific problems in that system. Sometimes specialization isn't holistic. Sometimes specialization can be a hindrance when you're not looking at the whole system. For example, in our healthcare system, if you have a problem with your elbow or something, you go to an elbow specialist, and they may do something. They might operate, they might prescribe certain drugs, and sometimes your elbow will be good, but you end up having some other issues, to which the doctor can say, not my problem. Go down the hall to doors 3, 4, and 5 for the new problems that have been created. Okay? Not saying that happens all the time. Not saying, but it can happen. It does happen at times. Well, here and now in Atlanta, you've likely heard about the Atlanta City Council and Atlanta Police Foundations wish to construct a state-of-the-art police training facility. It's in the nation's largest urban forest, which is here in Metro Atlanta. You might have heard it being called Cop City. Now, before we take a look at this, before I talk about it, I want you to take how you feel about the police out of the equation, okay? You're entitled to feel about the police how you feel. You might not trust the police. You might trust the police. You might feel the police should be defunded or abolished, or you might say we need more police, okay? You're allowed to feel whatever. But for this, right now, let's just table all of that, if you can. Among other things, everyone agrees that what this facility is going to do, it's going to have among other things, a city block, a mock city block that has like hotels and apartments for where the police can practice raids and practice like active shooter drills. Everyone agrees that that's part of the plan. And I don't blame the Atlanta City Council for wanting their police to be trained. The police need to be trained. We want them to be trained. Yet I believe that this is a specialized response to the problems that we have in this interconnected system of lamentations that I was talking about. That this facility is a specialized response. That our culture is the interconnected system where this is a specialized solution. I believe that this facility will be a specialized escalatory response to this, to the culture of guns, of the violence that we have in our society, of the punitive and extractive economic system that many of us have to participate in, system of winners and losers. I believe that this is an escalatory response that will ultimately lead to further escalations by parties we don't even know yet. The lamentations of this entire interconnected system. For this, we need holistic solutions, not specialized escalatory responses. We need to de-escalate, de-gun, detox our whole culture in a way. We keep trying to escalate responses to address real issues. I get that. But we fail to have the courage or maybe the wisdom to try to address root causes with holistic solutions. For these reasons, the Unitarian Universalist Association at General Assembly in June passed an action of immediate witness called Rise Up and Stop Cop City, which Sasha read earlier, but which says in part, therefore be it resolved that the Unitarian Universalists, as Unitarian Universalists, we recognize the momentum of collective action to demand social change, and we call upon the UUA and its member congregations to stop Cop City. We will take action through self-organized campaigns and other solidarity actions. We will support those engaged in direct action to stop Cop City with spiritual and material resources. The UUA and its member congregations, that would be us. That's us. Since GA, the UUA has been already on the ground here in Atlanta working on this campaign. And they're calling on us to help. We live here. But this issue actually has visibility across the nation. People are watching. And I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that something significant, something that will involve our commitment in solidarity with other faith traditions and with other organizations, something significant is going to take place here sooner rather than later. That's all I know, but I'm pretty confident. Retired Unitarian Universalist minister Robert Fulghum writes, "I do not want your sympathy for the needs of humanity. I want your muscle. I do not want to talk about what you understand about the world. I want to know what you will do about it. I do not want to know what you hope for. I want to know what you are willing to work for." This outlook, this way of religiously living, living characterized by cultivating an inner spirit, care and concern for others in community, and claiming the responsibility for those outside our walls, is really the topic of the class that I'm leading starting today, called Prophetic Imperative. The thing is, the use of muscle, the working, the doing, to me, that's what gives religious life its fullest meaning. It's like the secret sauce. It goes with everything. And it makes what we call religious living possible and ultimately worthwhile. And my wish for you all is to have that experience, to live a religious life. That is my wish for you all. A life where you can make meaning, a life having inner depth and spirituality, connection and care with others, and ultimately, a life of muscle, of working and doing.
In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask that our members and friends share their time, treasure, and talents. With this, we will now take the offering. You can also give using the Giveify app.
That sermon was heavy. That was heavy. It's not like that every week, visitors. We accept this sacred offering, generously given by our beloved members and friends, and may we use it wisely and judiciously in service to our mission. We don't have time to read all of the lamentations that were submitted, but I'll read a few. I worry about my children being able to survive financially. Without college degrees, they struggle to afford housing and the basic necessities of life. Fear nuclear proliferation and annihilation, Ukraine and Russia conflict. Gun violence, school shootings. The limitations of aging and all those who have no resources for food, support, medicine, and have loneliness. Stress for the future of our children due to environmental change and gun violence. People's and corporations' obsession with profits and manipulation. How bad global warming has gotten and is getting. I fret about the future holds for my daughters, the climate, politics, seeking happiness. Financial issues and job stability, rights being taken away as an AFAB person and as a queer person, coming out to my parents. Being disappointed by people's lack of empathy. We hold these lamentations and all in this community of care. We share these lamentations, for we are not meant to face crisis alone. May we have the equanimity to greet these lamentations when they knock upon our door. And may we have the courage to resolve and use our muscle to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. Amen. Please rise in body or in spirit for the singing of our closing hymn. We're 10:14, and we sing this as answering the call of love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth of our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are standing in the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep the light of
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, we sometimes deny the beauty we found. Let us hear the call of lamentation. Let us answer the call of love. Go in peace and enjoy your week.
Wednesday at 7. Will I see you Wednesday at 7?